You were not meant to be a slave to the grind. You were not meant to trade your life force for money. You can escape gravity. You can unlock your life. You got this. Let's go.
Hello and welcome to Unlock Your Life. Guys, I've got a guest with me today, Melissa Hughes. She is the founder of Live Rich, Spread Wealth. This is all about helping people to live richer lives and become their best self. So she's an author, she's a speaker, she's a coach. She helps businesses as a consultant. She also helps coaches or individuals get out of their own way, unlock that mindset. She's a guru of implementation. So I want to get some implementation tips and tricks from her today. I wanted to have her on this show. So Melissa, welcome. Appreciate you being here.
Well, I'm glad to be here, Jennings. Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. So tell us what you got going on and maybe how did you get into this space? It's an interesting, it looks like you're making your own way. I know you got a couple businesses. So talk to me about that.
Well, how did I get in this space? So I have to say that I have to give it attributed to my grandparents, actually. My grandfather was the first business owner I ever met. And my grandmother is the most spiritual person I ever met. So that's the wonky combination I am. I am a business person that I always had that bug in me, but I did actually go the corporate America route. And it was good for a little while. I learned a lot and basically got paid to learn, I think. And then I realized that I can make more of an impact outside of those walls. And that's when it was this particular day where I was at this really nice hotel, looking out the window and feeling like miserable because I was on these business calls. Like a lot of people, I'm on these business calls, fighting fires, doing all those things. And I was like, this can't be my life. Because, I felt like back then I was learning that like the more money you made is the more freedom you get. And I'm like, this is far from it. Like, I feel like I had these titanium handcuffs when I was in corporate. Like, I made a lot of money, got a lot of bonuses, but I worked my butt off. And I always kind of felt like there was another way. I felt into it like, I don't get this message. There's another way. There's another way. On that day, I was so frustrated. I was willing to pursue that other way. And that's when I decided to leave corporate. And it set me on like a 7-year path of introspection, planning, investing in myself to finally have my own business and start with one business. And I realized that, you know what, I'm so glad that I followed it because instead of having my life dedicated to other people's dreams, I'm able to create my own dreams and my own impact. And as far as instead of like putting myself on the back burner and spending more time in my company that I was working for, I'm now able to spend time with my family and my friends and my clientele, like the people that I really love. I get to choose who I hang out with and I serve. And so these are the things that I feel like it takes a lot of courage to step out on your own and go for it. But at the end of the day, I think the reward is much greater than the strife of being in something that doesn't really resonate with you as a person.
I was talking to a guy this morning and he was saying that he wished that he could leave the town. He grew up his whole life here and he's like, I wish I could have gotten away. I wish I could have done something different. I wish I had pursued more opportunities. And I asked him, well, what's the holdup? What was the reason? He's like, well, I guess I just always put other people first. And, you think about at your funeral, there's going to be people there and they're going to be thinking like, man, what should I have for lunch today? I'm tired. When is this going to be over? I got to get the to-do list on this weekend. It's like, we think, as this part of this corporate structure, we think we're so valuable, irreplaceable, and we're literally giving our lives away for someone or something that a lot of times they would replace us in an instant. And if you're passionate about it and you like it, fine, I love it. It's great. But if you're not happy, I love that you had the courage to do something about it.
Absolutely, and it does take courage, but everybody has access to courage. So you don't have to be like from a wealthy background, or even if you're in, everyone can always tap into that courage to follow what they feel like they're led to do. And it can be scary, but you know what? You have to make a decision. And then go on the journey. And the worst thing that can happen is you're either going to fly or you're going to learn a lesson. You're not going to lose. The journey is real.
Absolutely. So before we got on the show, you were talking to me about intuition. It seems like you used some intuition to make that jump. It seems like that's a big focus of yours. So can you elaborate on intuition in decision making?
Oh, absolutely. And and what I do, I believe in the facts, don't get me wrong. I believe in using data, but I also believe that when you use data alongside your intuition, you're able to get a total solution. And the reason why I feel like it's so important now is because we are so bombarded by data. I mean, it's coming out of our ears. It's just, there's no lack of data. But when you're looking to make powerful decisions as leaders, I've been supporting entrepreneurs and business owners and executives on leveraging their intuition to make powerful decisions. The stakes are higher than ever before. We're leading our families, we're leading companies, we're leading teams into this world of unknown. I mean, there's so many changes and the pace of change is increasing rapidly. So how do you guide people into the place of unknown if you've never been there and this data is bombarding you? How do you settle at night and not get so full of anxiety and being afraid to decide and getting stuck in your head? I have found that when you tap into your intuition alongside the facts, that you're able to be more confident and second guess yourself less and be in more action. And so that's why I feel like my life is I've never been here before. so I would never be where I am right now if I did not follow my intuition. I couldn't use all the facts because that wasn't in my periphery, but I trusted myself to be guided in that sense. And there's logical ways to do it. There's steps to doing it. You know what I mean? And so I teach people how to, first of all, recognize if it's your intuition or your fear. That's a big deal. Then being able to listen to it and do something about it. Intuition, something just like courage, everybody has it. It's just that we don't listen to ourselves enough and we don't trust ourselves to lean into that spidey sense that we all have.
Yeah. How do you delineate intuition from fear, right? I mean, I know right now, my listeners, myself, we're bombarded with all this data about bank failures and inflation and the dollar maybe getting replaced as the world reserve currency and hyperinflation and all this bad crap and trillions of dollars of commercial debt coming due in the next year or so. And part of me is, okay, do I need to use this data and pivot myself? Is this my intuition? Or is part of it is that really the truth? Or is this a bunch of people trying to get my eyeballs, right? They're trying to say sensational things. They're trying to get my attention, right? We live in a world where attention is everything. Everyone's trying to get your attention. So they're going to say and do things that are maybe not 100% accurate just to grab that attention and play on your fear. So how do you delineate that?
Yeah, well, intuition, it shows up in certain ways. And the first thing is a lot of data, and that kind of data does evoke a lot of fear and anxiety. Because first of all, most of it you can't control. Like I can't. I don't know if you can, but I can't control these.
No.
Getting caught up in all these things, like what are we doing? Like, how is that going to support me right now when I'm guiding my business, I'm guiding my team? And is this data all correct? So do I fire everybody now that the world's coming to an end? But these are the things that you can get caught up. You can take that information and that's data, but then you look at, well, what's your current situation and what decision is going to serve you in the best way right now based on where you're looking to go. And your intuition can support you in saying, okay, no, this is how you pivot or stay the course. Intuition is not based on fear. It's not chatty like our anxiety can be, right? It's usually it's a knowing, it's a quiet, voice you can hear, what have you. It's basically your inner guidance, if you will. And so fear creates anxiety. Fear gives you all the complicated modalities that you can do nothing about. Intuition gives you the next step. That's what it does. It doesn't overwhelm you and bombard you.
I love that. I preach that. I preach there's the macro and you could be aware of it. But I'm telling you, the president of the United States is not going to reach down and make you successful or make you a failure, right? And I can't control what Jerome Powell does with the rates or printing dollars. I just got to think okay, what do I need to do next? What is going to push my business forward? Because, if we fall into hyperinflation, well, I mean, at least we'll all be in the same boat. I don't know what we're going to do, but I guess we'll figure that out.
And then the knowing, just because intuition can kind of help you sift through all that noise. And oftentimes the way to get the best messages is to be in a quiet place. So, and to be calm and I say praying is talking to God, meditating is listening. Or whoever, I reference God, people can say universe, whatever, but just that bigger than you, right? And so when you are bombarded by data and facts, and when you're a senior executive or you're a high-level business person or an entrepreneur, you're going to be bombarded. You have teams, you have all these people pulling on you, not to mention your family. So how do you get in that quiet space and just really pay attention to, the stock market might be crashing, but you might have a deal on the table. And you might make a decision based on fear. You have the resources, the numbers make sense. This might be an up and coming area. So do you do the purchase or not? Right? Like, what is
Mhm.
that? What's going to support you on that next step based on what you have going on, based on your unique design of life and your journey? So, a lot of rich people became rich because of all the fear and all the terror and all the depression, if you will. There's a lot of brilliance that comes out of that space, but not if
Yeah.
you're full of fear.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And you look back at our nearest depression or recession, and, some people say, well, yeah, the people that had a lot of cash or the people that were set up, they really made a killing. But really, it was the people that weren't afraid, right? Because
Right?
you can find cash, you can find investors, you can make deals
Yes,
happen. But
absolutely.
if you're afraid, you're just sitting on the sidelines.
No, I'm just saying, when you're afraid, you can chase the money away. When you're
Right.
courageous, you can actually attract the opportunities.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. Because there's plenty of people that were in 2016, 17, 18 saying we're on the brink of a crash. And we moved into a pretty good economic time as far as investments go. So my stories were popping up from 3 years ago, and we were plunging into the depths of COVID, right? In March 2020. I mean, you think about
Right.
how much fear and pandemonium. And as a real estate guy, it's like no one's going to pay their rent. All these banks are going to be foreclosing on your loans. 1 or 3% of America is going to die. 9 million people are going to die. That's what I remember hearing in the very
Right.
beginning of COVID,
Yes. Yes,
and
absolutely.
just
Yeah.
thinking it was crazy how much the fear was rampant at that point.
I had a lot of clients then, as a business coach, and quite a few of them had businesses that they caused them that they had to meet with their clients. Well, what do you do when the world shuts down, right? And so I really supported them in their mindset, actually. And I was like, look, we've all had personal pandemics in our lives. Like, we were built for this. I say I serve these giants, right? And I was like, look, and I was having them have a bunch of like, look, we eat tsunamis for breakfast. We're just like, we're like, we could do this. Like, we can go through this. And from a business owner perspective, I was sharing with them to keep their eyes on being of service to humanity, being of service to their customers. So even though they had some customers that fell off because they were full of fear or just the money ran out on them, I mean, some people were significantly impacted, but they created and made their opportunities because they were focused on being of service. So they were able to meet their customers where they were. And some of them had their best years possible. Like, they had their best years because they were focused on making a difference, and they were wanting to be the solution and not to feed the fear that was all over the world.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So let's get a little bit more granular into what you do. I mean, we talked about systems,
Yes.
systems are sexy, the 80/20 rule, Pareto principle. So what do you implement, and who can you help, and how do you help them?
Yeah, I really help entrepreneurs that are looking to not only monetize and make 6 and 7 figures, I support them with being in alignment with their purpose. So I have a process in which I take them through. One is, first of all, getting crystal clear on why they're here. Like, what's their whole reason for being here? A little different from your mission statement and all that stuff like that from a company perspective. But like, your business is an expression of what you're looking to do in the world. So we really get clarity on that. I then support them on, well, how are they going to price it? How they position themselves? I mean, my clients are oftentimes like on top of their games. They're smart already, educated, multi-talented. And so we look at, well, what's the highest way you can serve in humanity, right? How can you serve your customers in the best way? And when we identify that, we actually look at, well, what are those services? Some of them already have businesses, but some of them add an additional revenue stream on as a result of doing this. And then sub them with their pricing. Then I support them on how they talk about it. Like, how do they go out there and cut through all this noise? What's their communication going to be like? Whether they have a captive audience or they're out there on the internet, how do they speak to their tribe or their potential clientele that they will get the attention that they need to draw and attract the right people? And then I support them on their enrollment. Like, how do they close their deals? How do they sell? I have a methodology called the love methodology, which is amazing for people that don't like selling, but do like serving. And so I support them on really being able to close business deals and get their plan together. So then I'm high accountability, firm love. So once we have a plan, I'm holding them accountable to what they say they want and giving them the tools and the mindset and whatever they need, coming alongside them to give them what they need to really make it happen. So that's really in a nutshell some of the journey I bring them on.
So what's the lead process or the closing? How does that work? Because that's something that I think a lot of people that are listening,
Love
they're,
methodology.
is it called LED?
Love. It's called love.
Oh, love.
I
Okay.
love
So
methodology.
So how do you love someone into a sale? How do you love them?
Right. Well, I mean, the first thing is we listen. I mean, it's an acronym, right? So you first
Okay.
listen. I mean,
All
you're
right.
listening to, we're not about telling people their problems. We're really, love methodology when it comes to sales is serving people to the truth, right? So serve them to their truth. Listen to what the issues are, listen to the problems. Don't try to console them in that moment. Allow them to get that out and identify what are, as a result of their problem, what are the different ways that it's impacting them, whether it's their business, whether it's their life. So listen for those things and then observe the problem. A lot of times we try to bring in a solution. Oh, yeah, I can help you. No problem. No, not at all. Observe the problem with them. It's kind of like when we go to the doctor's office, I'm like, hey, doc, my knee's hurting or my back is hurting. Oh, okay. All right. Well, tell me more about that. Is the pain shooting down your leg or is it, like they diagnose it, but they're not saying, oh, they're not solving it. They're just diagnosing it. We'll observe the problem just like the doctors do. And then while you're looking at the problem alongside with them and able to help them articulate that, then visualize if they're a fit with you or not. Are they your ideal client or not? And what that looks
Mm-hmm.
like is, when they're saying, what does success look like for them? Are you the person for the job? Is your company the business that can support them in getting that problem resolved and getting their solution, coming alongside and providing that solution for them? And then you enroll them. If the answer is yes, then you enroll them. Right. And so that's the love methodology. You listen, you observe, you visualize the fit, and you enroll.
Gotcha. Okay. I like that. And one of my mentors years ago, he said, don't solve, stop solving. Don't solve
Right.
their problems. You have to listen, you have to make them aware of the problem. And yeah, kind of using the Socratic method because people really trust what they say a lot more than
Yeah.
they trust what you say.
And nobody
And
wants to be told what to do.
absolutely.
Like you're not the boss of me. But when you're able to listen to them, and oftentimes, people, they're in pain, like the business is, going downwards or they're losing sales. Well, as a result of losing sales, what else is it impacting? Then they're realizing, oh, that's why I'm so grumpy at home. My wife or my husband doesn't even like me because I'm under the stress. You know what I mean? Like you're getting
Right.
the different, we think of that problem, but we oftentimes are just sitting in the problem. But we don't understand how much it has like branches. This problem is relating to a lot of different things. So it increases the importance of them and they come to their own conclusion that, no, I really need to take care of this, And for the right clientele, the action takers, the ones that can make decisions, then, you offer your services. But I get them to ask me what I can do for them. Actually, after I visualize a fit, I say, hey, I summarize what I just heard them say, which gives me an opportunity to make sure that they are heard, seen, and kind of, heard and seen, basically. And then they're like, oh my gosh, that's so right. You nailed it. And I says, okay, I'm 100% confident I could support you. Would you like to hear more? So I'm never regurgitating on somebody. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's in a business meeting, now that the executives around the table had said what it is that's going on, I'm getting the different perspectives. When I'm able to repeat that back and not only speak to what they said, but the kind of things that were in the room that they didn't say, but they're like, oh my gosh, you really get us. Because I'm a professional and I'm an expert in this field. So I know the strategic questions to ask because I know what people are going through when they have certain kind of problems, right? So it's not in the
I'm writing
talking.
down. I'm writing this stuff down. It's great.
It's not in the talking that you get the solution. It's in them talking. It's in the listening that you're able to make the sale, not in the talking. I really don't
Yeah.
start talking until I conclude that I've recognized and I conclude everything that I heard them say.
Because when people really feel understood, like that you get them, you get what they're going through, then you have authenticity to be like, well, he does get me. So if he says he can help me, he probably can't. But if you
Right.
try to solve, they're like, nah, he doesn't understand. I still have objections that I haven't even told him about. And now it becomes this like, well, what about this? Well, this. And now you're just playing ping pong and you're not going anywhere. You
You
lost the
lost the
sale.
at that point. And that's not
Um,
love, right? So, love in essence is an action word. It's not just, it's really being able to empathize, listen, and really come alongside them and serve them to the truth. When you're able to create an environment where they're giving you everything that's going on and you're asking those strategic questions, then that's already a quick way to connect and a quick way to be now given permission to come with the solution.
this is gold and something the visualizing them to be a fit. I mean, I have a product that we sell. It's $400 a month. It's called the Deal Room. And it's a course, it's mentoring, it's coaching to move from single family into multifamily. And we have a very specific person that we help. And it's like they're full-time real estate or they own a business. And most of the time they already own rental property. And so if they already own a couple rental homes, or if they don't own rental homes, but they're in full-time, like they're flipping houses or they're a contractor, but they're doing real estate, I get to the point where I'm 100% certain that I can help them, right? And when I talk to people that don't have that, then I'm not certain. And I don't offer them the pitch. I don't offer them the deal room because I'm not 100% certain that I can help them, because the person that's more certain wins, right? And if you're certain, you're going to win. But it's like, if you're not, they're going to feel that. And they're going to be like, yeah, I'm more certain that's not going to work for me.
And you have high integrity, right? So when you're like, people respect you and you're like, you know what? I'm not really sure we're a fit. I don't think we're a fit. And let me give you a recommendation in another direction. But for the people that, you do believe that you're a fit, you lean in and you don't go wishy-washy on them. Well, I think I can help you. Like, that's not going to work.
Well, I do have high integrity, but we also have a crazy, we have money back guarantee, plus we'll cut you a check for $2,000 if you don't close a deal. And so it's like, I don't want to present that to somebody that I know is going to close multifamily deals. So
That's right.
It's partially selfish, but yeah, I do want to be authentic because it's fun to help the people that your product is valuable for and it's going to work for them. And then it becomes this oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did this. It's worth the money. It's worth the investment. It's worth the time and effort, right?
And this is a deal. They value how you're able to support them in solution, right?
Yeah. And I've been sold onto stuff and it never works. When I'm like, I don't know, but I get kind of mental jujitsu'd into doing it. And then, a month or two later, I'm like, I don't want to do this. I never was really on board with it. I got sold on it and that hurts them, hurts me. And I don't want that. So it's I want somebody that they see it. This is absolutely, they know this is for them. I know it's for them and it works out.
And that's why I do love serving people to the truth with the love methodology, because I don't like the tricks and there's a lot of manipulation tactics when it comes to sale. It's available, but I don't want to be refunding people because I was able to convince them and twist their arm in the moment.
Exactly.
Then they come back later because now the hocus pocus wore off and they come back to their senses. I don't believe in running that kind of business. So it is important for me to just stick in the corner of what the truth of the matter is and serve them from that space.
And people become very aware of that kind of stuff very quickly. Those sales tricks, they have a very short shelf life. They work for a while and you see it on the internet. You see ads that you're seeing them all over the place. And then after a while, you're like, okay, I know what that is, right? That's a gimmick and it doesn't work,
Exactly.
Whereas just authentically listening and making that decision, yes, I know I can help this person 100%. I'm going to offer my product. But I thought that was a great way to transition it is once they're understood and heard, I know I can help you 100%. I'm certain. Do you want me to talk to you about the program? Would you like to hear more? Right. Yeah. Inviting them. And then you can talk about, because they need to know what is it? What does it cost? What's the details? Right. I mean, they need to know that.
But I like them. They're asking. I actually never even talk about the price until they ask me.
Yeah. Oh, really? That's interesting.
I don't blurt it out. We're in they are giving me permission to share what the offer is. And then they're asking, well, what's the investment? I'm not just blurting it out because I want to make sure that they understand, I'm not puking on you, dude. I'm here to support and serve you.
Right.
Then they ask me the question. Then I'm able now to talk about what the pricing is.
Right. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I love my clients. They're amazing because this is the kind of methodology that has really supported me in cutting through the noise.
And if you're listening out there, this totally applies to talking with brokers. This totally applies to talking with off-market apartment owners. It's listening to their problems, not in a way to give me ammunition so that I can attack you and get the lowest price, but really understanding where you at. Can I help? Am I even a fit to buy this property? Because if it's hey, you bought it high, you have a high mortgage, you need to sell it to a 1031 for a top dollar. Okay, maybe I'm not the guy to help you, right?
Exactly.
But if you have a lower mortgage. I can get a new mortgage and maybe you can work with me on the seller financing for part of the down payment or whatever to get you a higher price. But if you come in guns blazing with that without understanding their situation, typically doesn't work too well.
And you lose something. Like, so sometimes when you're so focused on wanting to talk as opposed to listen, you lose good nuggets. Like if you were really listening, then you would really know what's their motivation. Where are they really coming from? And, are these really the facts? Is there some undercurrent as to why this is on the market? There's a lot of things that you can gather in that information that allows you to that allows you to be able to visualize this fit. Like, okay, the data is there, but there's something funny about what this person's saying. There's something I'm not quite trusting. That's the data and the intuition combined. So when you visualize a fit, it's like not only ideal client in the circumstance, but is the vibe right? Like, is this, I don't know if you've ever had these deals where they're like, something's not right about this. I see this data, but something's not quite right. I'm going to walk away from this deal.
Oh yeah, for sure. And when you ignore it, you pay for it.
At the price you don't want to pay.
So yeah, no, I get that. And that is I like that because there's a mixture of the data and the hard numbers, but data can be manipulated. And there's also what frame of reference are you looking at this data through? And so we do have to trust our gut. And I like to ask other people that I trust, what do you think about this person? What do you think about this deal? Getting other input. But I have been very fortunate with partnerships that I've made that have turned out very, very well. I've been very fortunate with the deals that I've done have turned out well. And sometimes, we've had to pivot at certain points and change courses. But for the most part, and if you're listening, if you want to hear about the deal that went bad, look it up. $6.1 million deal gone wrong. I lay out all the mistakes we made. But yeah, most of that, it's the intuition on, okay, at the end of the day, I've got to make a decision here. Do I feel good about these partners? Do I feel good about this person? Do I feel good about this area, et cetera, et cetera? So it's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, Melissa, if someone is looking to connect with you, where can they learn more about Live Rich, Spread Wealth?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So I just had a documentary that was released last year. And so liverichtspreadwealth.com talks about, the whole journey of this movement. Live Rich, Spread Wealth is about embracing all of who you are, the good, the bad, the quirky, and using your skills and education to support humanity in a positive way, and then getting out your own way to receive the abundance that provides, right? And so there's a whole documentary on that movement, and it's been all over the world. The other thing is, if you want to learn more about me, go to melissahughes.com. And I'm also on the social media handles. I am Melissa Hughes and Master Biz Coach. So that's where you can find me. And I would love to hear about, your listeners. If they are listening to us right now, hit me up, on Instagram or something, let me know, or on the website.
Okay, guys. So she has a documentary, Live Rich, Spread Wealth.com. You can watch that movie. You could also go to Melissa Hughes. That's Hughes, melissahughes.com. Connect with her on social web. These links in the show notes. But Melissa, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you sharing it. I picked up some sales tips here that I'm going to be implementing.
Yes.
But it was fun. So appreciate you being on. And if you're out there listening, make sure you spend some time this week to focus on yourself and focus on getting your head up, picking your head up out of the grind and unlocking your life. So Melissa, thank you. And we'll talk soon.
Appreciate you.
Okay. Bye.
This is the podcastfactory.com.